you'll join me real quick to pledge the flag, and then I'll turn it over to Superior.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God.
Budget, and just to prepare and think about what we may or may not do in the spring budget cycle. And so the executive support team and I have been poring over our numbers and our information, and we just want to make sure that our board is up to date and has a clear understanding of what our numbers say and where we are headed. So if you'll join me in the packet. Miss Erica Robinson put together this presentation, so she'll probably jump in as necessary and help us work through the documents. So on the first page, what you see are the state revenues. And when you look at the 2017 column, one of the things that we've been it's been pretty easy to predict has been what our QBE state earnings would be, because they are focused around categories, categorical allocations, and the number of students that you have. But right now, the governor's appointed Education Reform Commission is overhauling how schools will be funded. And unfortunately, that's an unknown. We don't know specifically the impact to the school system. We have some speculation, but we don't know for sure. So whenever I don't know something, I'm very cautious moving forward. The other thing that we're uncertain of is whether or not the Education Reform Commission will make permanent the current austerity reductions that we have endured since 2003 to the tune of just roughly 100. So again, another very significant unknown when it comes to our state revenues. And of course, when the Education Reform Commission makes their recommendation, we anticipate it will take place in December. And then that recommendation has to go through the legislative cycle. So we'll be on a budget situation typical in the spring, waiting for the legislature to make any adjustments or recommendations to even accept the recommendation and or revert back to what we have always done in terms of funding schools. The other item under state revenue is called the QBE local share, and it's a local fair share. It's what the system contributes through its local tax dollars in terms of a fair share, and it's equivalent to 5 mills. And so that number is directly tied to the next page. And so what you see on the second page is our M&O tax digest. And if you'll look at the local fair share, what happens is as revenues increase, local fair share increases. And so when you look at the M&O digest, you'll see that since 2013-14, which was our lowest digest, roughly 37 million, we have had a steady uptick in the digest, which is very refreshing. However, that has a negative impact on the district in that as that number increases in the digest, your local fair share dollars go up as well. So it becomes an increased expense. Improving and the economy looks pretty good. The forecast is pretty good. The other side of that is that we receive a subsidy in terms of in the form of equalization, and that money will continue to decrease as the digest improves. So what we have is what I call the proverbial sweet spot, because we had a high equalization and we also had an increasing digest. So we had revenues that we will probably not see going forward. And so you can look at page 2 to see our tax digest history, and we're still at 20 mills, which means we have, not that raising taxes is ever popular, but in our case, we can't raise taxes. So what you see in terms of the digest at 20 mills is what you get. Nothing more, nothing less. And so you see that the digest at 20 mills is still $12,500,000 less than what it was, what was collected in 2008, 2009 at 18 mills. So we're at the maximum amount that you can assess, and we're still receiving, in terms of the dollars, less money in the digest. Now, again, it is improving, but the improvement also comes with some, I don't want to say they're negative, they're not. It means that the equalization piece will decrease, and local fair share will go up, which is a signal that our local economy is improving. The next page, just as a reminder, because this board has, since fiscal year 14, done some real promised in 2008, 2009 that we would restore as much as we could, and we have. FY14, we've increased the 403B by 0.5%. We restored 2 furlough days at that time. We also did a January pay adjustment, which didn't have to be sustained. So it was a one-time piece that we didn't have to carry out. And then we also added another 0.5% increase to the 403B. And heading into FY15, we actually gave a pay raise to all employees of 3.02%, which was the amount of $2.9 million. And then coming back, because the digest came in at a higher rate than we anticipated, we were able to, in January, adjust everyone's pay one time so that it didn't have to be sustained at 1%. And then continuing forward, we have also reinstituted step increases for all employees. We utilized our local funds for extended learning opportunities for students and had some great success with that. We've also restored our 6-hour pairs to 8 hours. And then coming into this school year, we restored 3 furlough days, which you made that decision last November, but we knew that people had made plans, so we didn't restore them immediately. We waited to the next school year. So you've restored 3 furlough days, and now we have a complete calendar, 180 days for students and 190 for teachers. And then on top of that, you have also restored salaries halfway to what they customary. We like to give you a projection of where we might be if we just move forward as we are right now. And so our history has been to project out about 3 years. And so you'll see a 3-year projection. We're halfway through 15-16. And this red number under 18-19, that fiscal year 19, is very troublesome to me in that that means we will have a deficit if we do nothing right now. And to add to the complications with that, we don't know what will happen with our funding formula yet, and we don't know what will happen with austerity reduction. So while this number could be not a deficit, we won't know. And so that's why I'm reviewing the budget now so that we can begin to think about how we recognize our employees and kids as we move forward and get really deep into the budget cycle. The other thing that troubles us is the continuous increase in health care costs. So the district pays a significant portion of its budget to health care. And that's not going away. That's going to continue to be a nemesis. Now, what you do know is that last year we were assessed a $150 fee per classified employee per month, and the state did not collect that money. And we were worried that they were going to turn around in January and start collecting $300. Well, Erica went to a workshop, and they are not doing that, but they will begin collecting the $150. Just sustaining the way things are right now, you wind up with a deficit in 2018-19. But a lot can happen between now and then. And so my recommendation is always going to be to proceed with caution whenever a number on the sheet is read. And one of the things that's been a benefit that has been enjoyed by our employees, and you understand why it comes at a really significant juncture when our employees don't get paid until the end of January and they're paid in the middle of December. And so having a one-time 1% pay adjustment in January is very popular. However, anything that you add right now only seeks to raise that red number at the bottom by whatever you add today. And in some cases, it would be carried out. So, for example, if you wanted to give all of the employees a 1% pay raise. What would happen is it would be in effect roughly $1 million in 16, 17, and then you would carry that over to 17, 18, and then to 18, 19, and that $4 million, which really is 3, would be roughly $7 million. And so, again, the point of this meeting today is to share with you the information that we have right now, and also to get your thoughts and ideas with regard to the budget. But my thoughts are that whenever the numbers are read, that we just take our time to make sure that any types of adjustments, we're out of the cycle right now. We're in a, this is a good practice.
Where's the money for the red?
For the what?
The red deficit?
I'm hoping that, that my projections will not come true, that we will be able to continue moving forward and just be very cautious. But what you have done as a board had to be done, because we will bleed our staff. We will lose them. Because other districts that are wealthier, you have to remember, we're 161st in the state in terms of wealth, and that's last year's statistics for Miss Amy. That's not current. I don't know what it is right now, but it's from last year. And so in terms of wealth, we're 161st. So the fact that we've made and kept our promise, because we have, we just can't get there yet. But I will do everything in my power to take care of our staff. I am one of them, and I have seen the work of our team, and I recognize that they need to be paid, and it's just going to take us a minute to get from point A to point B. Okay.
Thank you. Any questions? There are none.
But I'm a little bit confused.
Yes,
as
sir.
usual.
Well,
On the last sheet, it's saying it's a one-time pay adjustment, 1%.
yes.
That's the one that should come up in January.
Yeah.
I recognize it. And I'm going back,
No. Actually, our non-certificated employees are in FY16. They were part of the salary study, so they have also been restored back to what they would have been paid at today's experience level on the 2009 schedule, which is sort of confusing. So we look at the 2009 salary schedule because when the recession took place, if I was an employee at 7 years, we were stuck. So that 7 years then became 8 and became 9 and the same number. So if at 7 years I was paid $5, then when I was paid for my 8th year of experience, it was still $5. And then 9th year, still $5. But if the chart were to be utilized in its original form, every year there was something, or if you were eligible for a step increase, there was something. So what we did, Mr. Johnson, is looked at where you were today, because many years have passed, and then figured out on the 2009 schedule where you would have been and paid you there. So every employee in the district who was eligible received either a step, an adjustment based upon where you would have been, or both.
well, could have been and should have been, that's confusing to me. But
Well, the reason,
you said that the employees got an increase if they were eligible.
yes.
Give me an example of an employee that was not eligible for that increase under your scenario.
Okay. So the way that if you were year 9 transitioning to year 10, you were at a hold. But then the next year, which would be this coming year, you would be eligible for that step, because step increases are in the budget still, so they have not been taken out. But at the same time, that person who was at year 9 really that salary at year 9 may have really been for year 6. So we went back and said, okay, well, now you're 9 years into this. What would you have made at 9 years? So most people in the district got something somewhere. Yeah, it wound up being almost $2 million. It's because of the way the salary schedule is banned.
That's for the salary, non-salary, hourly. I see you asking for 1% in that as well, in short B.
No, these are just examples of,
Oh, I know, an example, but that 1% that you're showing as an example,
yes,
does that include the hourly folks?
it's everybody.
Okay.
But I'm not recommending that you do anything right now. My recommendation is that, and that's why there is no recommendation, because my position is that anytime there's a red number, you proceed with caution. And so I'm just putting this out there for the 1% so you could see how it would impact the budget as it is. So right now, my position is proceed with caution. Let's wait on the Education Reform Commission. Let's look at what happens to austerity, and then let's make some decisions in the spring.
Doesn't seem like very much.
Well, and also, so the other part of that is as your digest goes up, your local fair share goes up. So what you see there as well is in the preceding budgets for 17, 18, and 19, we just held steady at 750,000 and 3 million, when the digest can go down up to 4 million, we think. So you got that figure in there as well. But for the steps, Erica, what is it, about $1 million?
To $1 million to 1.2.
Yeah, for step increases.
Okay, so did we take those step increases out for 2017, 2018?
No,
It doesn't seem like.
we did not. Everything in this document, Mr. Edwards,
Okay,
is
I
the
see, I
same,
see.
steady.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question. We're in the process of doing more salary studies, am I correct?
Yes.
So with those salary studies, will we be able to look at this in the spring of when we redo the budget?
Absolutely.
To see if we can go ahead at that time and
Yes.
accommodate those recommendations by the salary studies?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.